And hello, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Gaffing the Truth. It's been a minute since we had one, due to Mother Nature, and then me having a trip where I could not host the said thing. So it's glad to be back. How's everybody doing? Are we doing good? Hey, Skabz, how are you doing?
Good, man. I'm good. Been a busy couple days
One
for a busy week or
second.
so. Yeah, but
I'm having
fun.
some. Yeah,
How about
cool.
you? How
Give me a
about you?
second. I'm having little issues, like a
Uh,
professionals we are.
Well, I'm
Uh,
doing okay.
I'm doing fine. Yeah, work isn't as insane as it used to be, so that's
Oh,
okay.
that's supposed to work. Why am I not hearing you guys? One second. For some reason, I can't hear you guys, even though you guys
Oh
can
no.
talk and can be spoken, of which, like that sort of stuff. So give me just a moment. Talk amongst yourselves. I'm going to
So,
mute
guys, what are
myself
we
so
talking
I
about
don't do
today?
stuff.
I don't know. We're talking about mummies.
Yeah, we're talking about mummies today. I'm happy to be a part of it. I guess do you guys do that thing where you introduce each other and your expertise, or no?
Or what?
Do you like just like hand off like this is so and so's expertise or blah blah blah? Do you guys do that?
No.
No.
Unless we're talking about aliens, and then I won't shut up.
I guess I should do mine at least. That's why I'm here. So
Yeah,
I'm
go
the new
for it.
guy. Sure. My name is Kriss Broken. I work in a funeral home for about 3 years. Still currently working there, and I'm a death aficionado, a death enthusiast. Yeah, I'll
There
go
you
with that.
go.
Death
And
enthusiast.
I fixed my sound on my end so I could hear you guys.
Well,
And it's
fantastic.
on my end I couldn't hear you guys. So
Some dead air was in your earbuds.
yeah, but I can hear you now.
Fantastic.
Anyway, so yes, Kriss Broken. That happened. All right. Cool. So how's everybody's week going?
It's going. Been a good week. Been a busy week.
We're currently going back doing shows. I think all of us are. I know, at least me and Skabz are. I'll be doing open mics around Houston on various days. I know Skabz got his own schedule. Jeff, I'm not sure yours. How's yours going?
Well, I mean, since shifting everything over here online, I just thought I'd do stuff online, but it's mostly just talking. But that's usually what I did before. But no, actually, my plan is actually to start going to like comedy open mics and start refining my stuff on that end because apparently I'm funny. I don't know.
This is news to me.
I know, right? I got like really like a Houston comedian who like is an administrator who I did like one of the talking head shows for our good friend Kuagente has his show, and so I've
Oh,
been on
good
his show
guy.
several times. I've been on his show several times, and one of the other comedians on there runs like a private like a comedians group on Facebook for Texas, and he invited me on the on that. So I'm going. I guess I'm funny. I don't know. But no, it's. I think it's a good way for me to kind of refine my talking or like talking bits for like some of the acts and stuff like that. It'd be kind of fun to go up there and talk bits and stuff like that. It works a lot really well. So that's my next step is to start doing like open mics. I think I got some fun stories to kind of tell jokes about. So especially like my trip to New York and other stuff, and then maybe do a couple of weird, simple sideshow things just to freak people out because that way people will remember me.
Hey,
Maybe I might get booked that way. So
it's like my music. The music's all right, but you stay for the stunts for sure.
that's the idea. So basically, I'm going to do some stuff, like some minor stunts, just so that people go, "What? I can remember that," and then maybe I can get booked for doing like comedy. I don't know.
I think people are just starved for like any kind of entertainment because one of the last shows I did, people actually laughed at my jokes. So
They had to be stars for Joe.
yeah.
When I do my open mic, the phones come out. Like usually at an open mic, people are at the bar drinking, talking loudly. People have their phones just like this on me. Like, and I know they're not on it because it's sideways, so I know they're actually recording something.
That's cool. Yeah, that's that was me in New York as well. Like I did. I ended up like doing a lot of like I did shit on the Coney Boardwalk. I did shit like in Central Park. All it was like people taking photos of me, and I was just doing it. All right, cool. Here's a dumb thing. You said something nice to me here, like, or you gave me a thing. Here's a trick. Like, trick or treat. You gave me a treat. I'm gonna give you a trick, and that's what I'd been doing all weekend. So it was really nice.
Cool.
Yeah. So that's my thing. Yeah, as far as getting back into stuff is starting to get into the open mics when available to do so because I made also the commitment to myself about doing stuff on here. So as far as
Mhm.
the online stuff, so some stuff I miss out because this is
Yeah.
a thing I like doing, and so I think
We thought
long
this
term.
would be temporary for for 5 or 6 months. We didn't realize we'd be doing this about 13 months into it.
Oh
Yeah.
no, it's like it's changed my whole paradigm as far as what my plan was for doing things. And so it's literally it's like all right, cool, live stuff, live show plus this online stuff. It's like it's just part of my performer lifestyle now. It's all right, cool, online shows and doing stuff and then doing live stuff as well. So it's pretty cool.
That is cool.
But today, as we are gaffing the truth, we talk about weird stuff, crazy stuff like that. So today, this is 2 weeks late because we had originally planned to do this right after Mother's Day, but because Texas storms have been so fun for us right now, we weren't able to do it. So, but today we're going to talk the thing we're going to talk about Mother's Day, which is actually mummies. So we're going to talk mummies, which is why we got Kriss Broken here because the death aficionado, as I think
Death
he'd like to see,
enthusiast.
death enthusiast. There you go, Kriss Broken, death enthusiast. Hey, that's a shirt. Write that down. Death enthusiast.
There's a shirt I want that says "Last Responder" on it and it has a hearse on it. That's what I want.
Oh, that's good too. I like that a lot.
All right. Did you guys actually know you can actually still can't become a mummy?
Oh,
like
yeah.
like an official pyramiid mummy? I think there's
Yes.
a place. Where is it at?
It's out of Utah.
Yeah, it's out of Utah. It's $6,000 or $67,000. Sorry, I
Yep.
undersold
That's
it
it.
on the for that. It's by a place called Summon or Summum. It's a pyramid. It's not really a church. It's more like a winery, from what I hear. They do pets. They'll strap to your cat.
I want to be a booze mummy.
Yeah, pickled.
Fermented, huh?
I just want to be
Oh,
pickled.
yeah.
Pickled. Yeah. Oh hell, yeah. It's a nonprofit organization, but for $67,000, how's that nonprofit?
I was about to ask, man, like $67,000. Like we do this, it's a charity for $67,000.
Well, it depends on how they're doing. It's like actually, weirdly enough, is my late wife. She actually was really fascinated by Egyptology, fascinated so much so that she actually kind of looked into it. And they try to be close-ish to how it was originally done, which is partially why it's the cost, is because I mean you're sitting there basically just all the process to get it all done is kind of crazy. So
Mm-hmm.
I would
So do they
$67
wait
sounds
until you actually
extreme.
die, or like can you go in there while you're still alive and do like the hot poker through the nose to pull out the brain thing?
Well, I mean, we know enough people who do that live on stage, so
Not with a
I
hot
don't know.
poker though. I haven't tried that one yet.
We can
I've
ask
done a
We can ask Phoenix Fire. Of all people who probably could have probably thought about doing it, it's him.
I've stuck a red hot knife in my mouth with water in it after a 1,000-degree knife game back when 1,000-degree knives were the thing. And that closed, I put water in my mouth and went shh, steam came out. Terrifying. I haven't done it since. Pulled it off, but I've never
I
do it.
I listen to the Red Hot Chili Peppers. Does that count?
I eat red hot chili peppers.
No comment.
Yeah.
They have some good songs.
Yeah.
I
So
like
did y'all
the
know that
Bridge.
Brendan Fraser nearly died in a scene where his character is hanged? Rachel Weisz remembered he stopped breathing and had to be resuscitated.
That
That's from
was
the
the first
movie.
movie. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was from the first movie.
This is what we're talking about, right?
Oh yeah,
Yes, we're talking
about. I just had to think about Brendan Fraser. Like, oh yeah, that scene. Yeah, I remember now. Oh
the Mummy.
God,
Yeah.
the good one, the good mummy. Not what The Rock was doing with bad CGI.
Well, he was in that one, wasn't he? No, he was in the end of the first
He was
one.
in the second one. He was in the second one, and that wasn't his fault about the CGI.
No,
I mean, he made up for it during the Scorpion King, which was all right.
yeah, it wasn't great, but it was fine.
That was Conan with sand.
Yeah, but it wasn't as good as Conan because of the sand.
Well, Conan. Okay, don't get me. I love myself some Conan the Barbarian. It's not a great movie, but it's still a great movie. I mean, it's not a well made. It's like it's a great movie for like cheeseball sort of stuff, but by no means is it cinema.
I'm as you're describing it, it's like it's not old Conan, it's a new Conan movie, but that level of good. You know, there's a remake of Conan, right?
Yeah, with Jason Momoa.
Yeah.
Was there really? I didn't even know that.
Yes.
Yeah, it came out.
He wasn't bad. He wasn't
fine.
bad, but
It was
it's fine.
fine. There was nothing. It was nothing special. I mean, it's better than Cold.
The scene where like he's a kid holding the red hot chain, like that was cool. That was kind of metal. That's probably the best part of the whole movie, and that's the beginning of it. So get about 20 minutes into it, you're done. That's all you need to know.
I mean, literally, like what Conan the Barbarian had literally like 3 English speakers in like the entire cast, and one of them was Mako. You know you're in trouble with all that sort of stuff. So, anyways, as we devolve out of Mummies and talk about Conan for 10 minutes, cheers, everybody.
Yeah, so I just pulled up the Wikipedia just to give everybody. I'm sure everybody who watches this knows what a mummy is, but for those who don't, a mummy is a dead human or animal whose soft tissues and organs have been preserved by either intentional or accidental exposure to chemicals, extreme cold, very low humidity, or lack of air, so that the recovered body does not decay further if kept in cool, dry conditions. Some authorities restrict the use of the term bodies deliberately embalmed with chemicals, but the use of the word to cover accidental dissected bodies goes back to at least 1615 AD.
Mm-hmm.
So they've been preserving dead people for no reason for a long fucking time.
Well, that doesn't mean, in fact, there are some cultures that actually, like they're Buddhist monks that willingly turn themselves into mummies over time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, mummies of humans and animals have been found on every continent.
So I have 2 sources here. What's the oldest mummy do you think exists?
King Tut.
He wasn't the oldest, but he was the most famous, and because at the time his tomb wasn't rated. Yeah, he was the famous of his time. And
Damn you, Laura Croft.
Damn you, Laura Croft. God, we're just dead moving this movie. This whole thing. Just remember this dead movie that no one talks about.
Have you ever watched this show before?
That's true. I love. I did all this research. I went, oh, that's cool. That's so sweet. Me and Skabz literally like 20 years before the show like pulls up shit.
I pulled up mummy movie trivia.
well, excuse me for. I worked really hard on the day that we were supposed to do this. So
no, it's perfectly fine. Somebody should. I mean,
yeah, someone should put this back on the rails. I'll try. Actually, the oldest mummy is the dinosaur. It was actually mummified and then fossilized. It's a. I'm gonna butcher this, so Skabz will get you to correct me. Notosaurus. It's 110 million years old.
I mean, it doesn't seem like a dinosaur if it's not a saurus.
Yeah, right. It was actually found in Alberta, Canada. Actually, they were digging around. They found that out, actually tried to build something there. But that's the oldest naturally preserved mummy. And I know we talked about, you said yourself that there's, chemically changing a person through knowledge is a very old practice. Probably the oldest ones we found are I'm gonna butcher this, Chincora in the northern Chile hills in southern Peru. They found one shell that is 7,000 years old. 2,000 years before the Egyptians.
Fake news. The Earth is only 6,000 years old, so that can't be true. That was the devil. The devil put that there to trick us.
Yeah. God, I hate that's such a thing that happens that people
I know it does.
The sinners up. Oh, I hate that. Oh, there's many things I hate in this world. That's one of them. But there's actually, I've got the actual process taken right here in front of me, and it is wild. It's so wild.
That's crazy.
Yeah, the way they did this, they actually changed. They have found 282 mummies, the Fisher folk people. The early style was called the black technique. The bodies were disassembled: head, arms, legs. Then they dried the skin when it was removed, and then they reassembled with clay, plant sticks coated with an ash paste with animal and grass, or animal hide and grass. The skin was added on, and the clay face mask was placed upon them that has features on it. And yeah, and then they were covered in black manganese. That's about back when 2500 BCE. So this
So
has been
basically,
a
it's
long
they
time.
took people completely apart, for lack of a better term, and then put them
Gutted.
back together,
Yeah.
and then that's okay. I guess
Yeah. No, I've almost seen worse autopsies. I've seen autopsies almost just as bad.
but it's one of those things. I'm trying to figure out the reasoning for that. It's like literally like now I'm just like now I'm trying to think of, well, without knowing the religious background of these people, I don't know, but it's still, that's a really weird sort of setup.
They did
I mean,
change. They
like,
actually, they did go away from dismembering the body. They did. They stopped dismembering and then dried it, covered in mud with fish paste or egg binder. And that's kind of there was an evolution of embalming
I'm
or
wondering, like, I'm wondering
mummifying.
what the evolution
Mummifying.
was. It
Sorry.
was like, at first it was like, up, Og died, we better eat him, and then it was like, okay, now Oog died. It's disrespectful to eat our friend. Let's just keep his body preserved so we can stare at him.
All right. Probably not wrong. I mean, you believe it, sometimes it's just a simple answers like that are it. So, but yeah, I can kind of see why dismembering. I mean, you're trying to get all of the tissue, all the organs out. You're trying to get any muscle, anything that would rot away, and you think meat is rotting, so you take meat off the bone. So I can definitely see how that was a way of thinking. And then again, of course, every culture has its own practice. I have a story in here about Lady Di, and not the Di you're thinking of. A much older mummy, but that's a big process. If anyone else want to jump in, please.
I heard Lady Di was on the radio, and the steering wheel, and the dashboard.
Boy, that's
good night,
cultural.
everybody.
Zing! Okay,
This
so
is what they come here for.
Buddhist mummies, and I'm gonna fuck this up, but Soku Shinbutsu.
Yeah, that's not bad.
Monks' bodies are monks whose bodies remain incorrupt without any trace of deliberate mummification, and venerated by some Buddhists who believe they successfully were able to mortify their flesh to death. Self-mummification was practiced until the late 1800s in Japan and has been outlawed since early 1900s. Many Mahayana Buddhist monks were reported to know their time of death and left their last testaments, and their students accordingly buried them sitting in a lotus position. Put into a vessel with drying agents such as wood, paper, or lime, and surrounded by bricks to be exhumed later, usually after 3 years. The preserved bodies would then be decorated with paint and adorned with gold. Bodies purported to be those of self-mummified monks are exhibited in several Japanese shrines, and it has been claimed that the monks prior to their death stuck to a sparse diet made up of salt, nuts, seeds, roots, pine bark, and urishi tea.
I believe they started.
So they would like literally like
and...
just mummify themselves. They would like, hey, I'm gonna die in a couple days. How about y'all start building a square around me?
Yeah, I think
Well,
also later in the process they were actually eating bark and small stones at one point.
yeah, they're actually eating stuff that help a lot of like for some of the Buddhist sort of setups and stuff like that. They were also like those last inning, however long it was. All they were sustaining themselves on things that would help speed up the process of decay. So that way, as once they remained in that position, whenever they did expire, they already had stuff in the system that was basically designed just to waste them away. So they were already like starving themselves and eating like the bark and stuff like that, which was designed to stay eat it themselves, for lack of a better term. That's a thing.
1900s, early 1900s was stopped. That's insane to me.
Yeah, it's like,
you
that
think
was
1700s.
20 years ago.
Yeah, like it happened at one point where someone in 1900 said, "You know what? There needs to be a law." that's insane. Oh,
You're gonna make
God.
a law against monks. They're gonna do whatever they want anyway.
That's true.
There might be a country that does that, unfortunately.
Right.
Right? Yeah. That's not a funny joke either. That was an observation. That's all that was.
I mean, still, 1900s. This one doesn't have an exact date. I'm sure I could find it if I looked it up. But during the early century, the Russian movement of Cosmism, as represented by Nikola Fyodorov, yeah, that's how you say it, envisioned scientific resurrection of dead people. The idea was so popular that after Vladimir Lenin's death, Leonid Krassin and Alexander Bogdanov suggested cryonically preserve his body and brain in order to revive him in the future. Necessary equipment was purchased abroad, but for a variety of reasons, the plan was not realized. Instead, his body was embalmed and placed on a permanent exhibit in the Lenin Mausoleum in Moscow, where it is displayed to this day. The mausoleum itself was modeled by Alexei Shusev on the Pyramid of Djoser and the Tomb of Cyrus.
See, communism doesn't work. Could do cryogenics.
Right?
I mean, it's cold enough.
Cryogenics.
So. Yeah, it's already cold enough up there.
Oh, jeez. Yeah, I mean, Lenin, they're still putting gloves on him. They're still cleaning his clothes still to this day. It's an amazing, long-lasting embalming process. He is starting to decay, though. They've got longer sleeves on him. They've got gloves on him now. They do a touch-up and they try their best to keep him looking pristine. But it's a constant uphill battle every month of every year.
Oh yeah,
I can imagine that much work and dedication it takes. That's tax dollars spent to keep one dead guy looking good for how long has Lenin been dead?
Like 50 years.
50
no,
years?
Lenin's been dead since like the 60s. It's like 50. Okay. He's been like dead for like 50 years.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's still there. Huh? I mean, embalming works. I mean, I'll say that, man. There's times I walk in the prep room at work, and there's the embalming fluid is so strong it burns your eyes and nose.
Oh fuck!
And it's carcinogenic. It is.
You can smoke it and get high.
Don't you ask me to do that. I'm not. I could get it for you, but I refuse to.
I've smoked PCB before. All it did was make me sweaty and paranoid, and I hated it.
No.
I can do that naturally. I don't need drugs.
Yeah, right. Be sweaty and paranoid on my own. Thank you very much.
Well, if we're talking about Buddhism, we're talking about that part of the world. So I mentioned this earlier. A lady died. It's not the Di you're thinking of, Princess Diana. Lady Di was actually a 2,000-year-old Chinese corpse who died very well preserved, as in still looking moist. Yes, and she had some fluids in her. They actually were able to do a autopsy and then still find out her last meal, and also what she died from. She died from cardiac arrest, probably from having a not so active lifestyle, being royalty, and choked on something. Oh no, he had almost like an ulcer actually, and ended up having cardiac arrest from that. So in 1972, a China tomb was discovered with Han Dynasty artifacts. Xingsu, the Princess Di, was very well preserved. Her wig wasn't decayed. She still had red blood in her veins. Still had all of her organs, and died from a heart attack. Buried, and how she was buried is probably the most dehydrated way you could do this. There's so much charcoal, clay, and everything involved. She was buried in an upside down pyramid, which I feel like Nicolas Cage should do that. But I think he has a right side of that pyramid already. Wrapped in 20 layers of silk.
I think he sold that off because taxes.
Oh yeah, he had in New Orleans too. I want to see that. Yeah. Buried upside down pyramid, wrapped in 20 layers of silk, in 4 coffins, and a clay-lined burial vault with 5 tons of charcoal surrounding her, which take up all the moisture. Then 1 meter thick layer of moisture blocking clay, then soil and earth of 50 meters high. There was like some red liquid in there with her. They're not sure what that was.
And they keep finding like red liquid in fucking tombs, and I think they should just let us drink the mummy juice. Let's see what happens.
Now I gain its powers. Basically, they just vacuum sealed her. They had, I think her embalming was brine, cinnabar, mercury ore, magnesium salt, and other medicines were put with her. to keep her so well preserved. You see a picture of her. Just look up Lady Di, the mummy. She looks like a oh, who is that from the Goonies? Sloth. A little. It'll remind you of Sloth a little bit from. Well, obviously she's starting to decompose now, and that's why she looks that way. But she looks great for her age.
Wait, shh! You had me at sloth.
But I've seen pictures. She looks really good. I mean, her wig still looks great, and it looks like a person instead of a decayed 2,000-year-old body. I said.
Wow.
Yeah.
Whole new meaning for MILF.
MILF BC. Yeah.
Saw that on the internet.
Oh no!
It's not okay, but it says not step MILF, so we're okay.
It's my step mummy.
It's my step mummy.
Ew. My step ancestors. Gross.
Still moist.
Moist.
Oh yeah.
There you go. Moist.
So,
Moist.
There's a term that started 19th century, Egyptomania.
Yes.
And it, gripped Europe and America starting off around like 1798 when Napoleon invaded Egypt. And then by the 1830s, upper-class Western and Americans began flooding Egypt in search of treasure, and mummies became a chief prize.
Mm-hmm.
So there was a lot of mummies that they found. They weren't all necessarily, kings or higher class. There were mummies that were, just priests and, stuff like that. But a lot of them were taken out and used for shit. They got used for a lot of different things. One of the things was medicine.
Yep.
Yeah.
Mummy, often sold as mumia, a confusing word that also refers to the bitumen with which mummies are embalmed, was applied to the skin or powdered and mixed into drinks as a treatment for bruising and other ailments. The belief may have come from ancients such as Pliny the Elder, who wrote that the bitumen used to embalm the mummies offered healing powers. Shug says that adherents, including the French King Francis I, as well as Francis Bacon, who wrote that mummy has a great force in staunching of blood. Mumia became such a big business that there was a trade in fake mummies made from executed criminals, slaves, beggars, and camels, just to keep up with the demand, much like today's market for counterfeit pharmaceuticals. It's like, I got some of that fake mummy pills.
Goddamn big mummy.
Well, I mean, it's also, I'm sure one of the things that treat against, of course, of every known quack medicine is always hysteria. So I'm sure you snort that line.
Mummy arm to masturbate.
Okay. There are mummies that were used in circus and sideshow in Europe for mummy unwrapping. That was also an attraction that was a big part of that mummy craze. And people were selling mummies on the street. You prop your mummy up on the side of the wall. I've seen a picture of it, and they're selling your mummy. So my prop.
Yeah, this one that's right here on this list as well.
I had a big so I did a stint in summer school. I forget what grade it was, and there were things about we were doing Egypt for some reason. I think I was a young kid, and even at that time, I learned the whole discovering of artifacts and taking them out and putting them in a museum or put them on display. That in a sense, even at young age, was grave robbing. I don't know. At my young mind, I was like, yeah, that's kind of grave robbing, right? I mean, if I had nice shit and you took it. We're considered grave robbing. So at young age, I was never a big fan of this.
Yeah, there's a fine line between grave robbing and art. I think there's a date when it goes from grave robbing to archaeology. My guess is it probably has to be at least
if you have to dig up the bobby. It's archaeology if you have to break into a tomb.
You have to break it's. I think once you get certain age, I think once it goes over beyond a certain age, I think it just becomes archaeology. I think it depends on how well the place is maintained. So if it's still a fresh, living civilization, grave robbing. If it's a discovery of a town that's long since gone away, archaeology. I mean,
I think it based on the premise of if you're taking something and something's being transferred with currency, that I consider robbing. I don't mind visiting a tomb. That is
what you're taking worth money to a lot of people or just you?
That actually has a dollar amount. of any kind. I think if you're taking some of the dollar amount and you try to trade a currency, try to trade that for currency, I consider that grave robbing because that's stealing for profit. That's like pawning someone's your nana's ring or something like that. I'm all for visiting tombs and doing a study there at the tombs, but I think removing artifacts or removing bodies, I will stand against.
But see, that's the problem is like, we go to museums to see stuff. We don't want to see like, here's a picture of a mummy. I want to see the fucking mummy.
Yeah. But it also goes into currency. Someone's making money off the dead individual. That's
what we should do is give the money directly to the mummy.
Mummy ancestors.
Mm-hmm. No, the mummy.
No, the mummy is
for him to use in the afterlife.
We found a mummify Attila the Hun. We got to have you got to pay off the ancestors. Let's do that.
Mummified Genghis Khan.
Yeah, Genghis Khan. Yeah,
you gotta pay everybody in Mongolia if you're gonna pay off his children.
Oh no, Genghis Khan. Chances are you're related to Genghis Khan. That's how prolific of his thing. Like the likelihood of everybody descended, like people being descended through Genghis Khan, is very high. Like distantly, because he fucked a lot and had a lot of concubines. And so like 36 concubines, all of them had at least a couple of kids.
The Mongols or the Mongolian mountains.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, he made his way to Europe, so yeah, he fucked a lot. So chances are you probably are related to Genghis Khan. Just so you know.
Hell yeah.
That'd be great.
And also it's Genghis Khan.
Now I'm not playing Jenga. No, it's Genghis.
Well, we topple that tower.
You know what? I'm going to keep with Genghis because Bill and Ted would never steer me wrong. They taught me about Billy the Kid and Socrates and Beef Oven and
everything I need to learn from history came from Bill and Ted.
Oh yeah.
So we're talking about selling bodies as props. This is my favorite story. I think we all know where I'm going to go with this. Because this is my favorite mummy story. If I have a favorite mummy, it's going to be Elmer McCurry.
Oh, Elmer McCurry's amazing story.
Amazing story. American story, even. We have he's Oklahoma outlaw. He actually served for the Army. And once he left, he decided to go be a plumber, which didn't work out. So he decided to be an outlaw. And that also didn't work out. And one robbery,
shitty outlaw.
Bad. He actually, at one story, they were robbing a bank. He fancied himself as an explosives expert and blew up the safe and the money, just all together. So, anyways, they found him in a barn after these crime sprees, and the police shot him dead and returned him to a mortician at the time, or undertaker, as they were called at times, which is a much cooler thing. And there's actually still some paperwork that I signed near Lake Charles that the hospital says for signature for undertaker, and I love signing that thing. It's fantastic. It's the most fun in the world. He actually, some of you may not know who Elmer McCurry is, but you may have seen a couple of films he's been, and he was actually almost on the show The $6 Million Man. He was a prop. That's actually how he was discovered. He was found hanging, painted pink, and the sound crew, I believe, touched him and broke off his arm. So they're like, wait a minute, this doesn't look like a mannequin. This looks like a bone. So they actually go to the LA medical examiner. And they found out who he is. He's Mr. Elmer McCurry. He was taken to the Undertaker back after he was shot in the barn. He was on display for like 5 days, and people started actually want to see him because he was so well preserved. And so he started hanging about for I think about 5 years. They used to charge admission to see this body, and when they actually autopsied him, they found a what year was that? 1924 penny in his mouth. Because when you would go there, they didn't have a ticket booth. You'd put your money or your ticket in his mouth. And so 5 years passed. Go ahead, Jeff.
So the reason why he was sitting in the Undertaker's office for so long is because the way they would do it is they would preserve the body and then reach out to the next of kin to pay for the embalming process, but no next of kin ever came. So that's why he started being a.
And in the old
days, I'll call you back. Bye.
Yeah. Sure, I ain't got no money. Yeah, that's yeah, and they actually propped up against the wall. And actually, at one point, the son of the Undertaker started putting him on roller skates and like wheeling him around in front of patrons. I'm not making it up. All right.
Oh, I know you're not.
Let me see.
Jumping back real quick.
Go ahead.
We're talking about the mummies at parties and shit, the unwrappings.
Mm-hmm.
I found this mummy unwrapping as a social event really got going in Britain starting in the 1820s, thanks to a circus performer turned antique salesman named Giovanni Belzoni. So, this is why people don't like us.
Oh, it's gonna get worse because I gotta finish my story. So, after these years of being a funeral home, someone claiming to be his brother pays for Elmer, who is not his brother. Someone who a carnival owner out in West Texas buys Elmer and takes it and puts him on display as the Oklahoma outlaw. And there he stays. He gets transferred from there to certain warehouses, ultimately ending in L.A. Being painted pink. Now, he's actually in a movie. You can actually see Elmer. He's actually in the movie called, it's a 1967 film called She Freak. There is a point in the film where there are faces, look like haunted house faces coming towards the camera. One of those faces is him.
Wow.
Yeah.
And if you want to get real technical, I can't confirm this source yet, but I've heard, and I need to look it up myself on Netflix. There's a show called The Toys That Made Us. They do a version of He-Man. And apparently, from what I've heard, Elmer here was the inspiration for Skeletor.
I
don't know if that's true, but
that's,
I believe it's true.
It's a nice story.
Yeah,
that's a nice
story. I heard a story. But
so,
he was there put the rest in 1977. He's at Summit View Cemetery in Guthrie, Oklahoma, with cement on his grave so no one can take him and use him ever again. R.I.P. Best story ever, my opinion.
Yeah, the name of because at the amusement park he was staying at is called The Pike. That's where they were filming the $6 Million Man. I actually did a story about Elmer McCurdy back on the Devil's Hour back a few months ago. Like, the thing you're talking about, great. He was not. They actually billed him as the bandit who would not give up. That's what he was always billed as far as the Mummy. Spent time with the Patterson Carnival and then the Louis Sonny and his Museum of Crime traveling show.
Yeah.
And then he was also the lobby prop for an exploitation film called Narcotic, where literally was like when you back in the 40s and 50s for these little shock rock stuff like that. You go see the movie, they always have weird props and crazy things as you're walking in. So he basically is like, this is a drug fiend, man. Don't get stuff like that. And they're showing off this guy's body.
Yeah. Just like Kurt Cobain. He was a Kurt Cobain of his time. He was still famous like years later after his death. But he actually became more famous. So he wouldn't be Kurt Cobain.
Actually, yeah, he wasn't famous until he died.
Yeah.
You guys know, like, I over 2020, like one of the things I got into was like painting again, and I've gone through a lot of different colors, throwing shit away. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different kinds of brown here, but I really need to start looking at this because starting around the 16th century, a pigment called mummy brown, made from ground up mummies, was popular choice for European artists. Delacroix used it, as did British portraitist Sir William Becchi, and it was a special favorite of the pre-Raphaelites. According to scholar Philip McCout in 1972, an artist supply shop rather jokingly called à la Mummy opened in Paris, selling paints and varnish as well as powdered mummy, incense, and myrrh. To be fair, not everyone knew what they were painting with. When artist Edward Burne-Jones found out, he held a little funeral for a tube of paint in his back garden.
God.
I want mummy brown.
There's some artists that use.
Brown is like, God. I didn't have brown paint forever because I didn't even think about shit. And then like the first time I drew a tree, I was like, "Fuck."
Oh God.
I don't have mummy brown, but I can get you some shitty brown.
No, I got plenty of that. I'm really good at making that. I make so many different pigments of that.
Oh hell!
Depending on what your diet is, yeah.
Yeah, sometimes it's red too.
Green.
Oh, that's trouble.
It's because of the chard, not blood. If your shit is black, that's blood. That's what you need to worry about.
Yeah.
Oh well, it depends. To have a lot of black
What?
beans, though.
Yeah, this is true.
Skabz looks surprised. What's going on? Is everything okay?
Yeah,
I
everything's
just found mummy brown paint for sale.
fine.
Get out of here.
I think it's
Amazon?
just the color itself. Like, I don't think there's
Oh.
I don't think you can actually get like. Oh, there's also Indian yellow. Oh God.
Do they have a flesh colored one? And what color is it really?
Well, hang on. Let me go to the images real quick. Maybe we can find us see if there's a definitive mummy brown. I'm sure it came in a lot of different
Add to my
pigments.
Amazon wish list.
Yeah. See, folks, you tune into the show, you get to learn about things like this because obviously this is important about Mummy Brown. And the fact is on how readily available it is for you, the consumer.
By
Mummy
God.
There you go.
Oh, geez. That's fantastic.
I think that's the mummy brown right there.
It's very rustic.
That's
Yeah.
racist.
I like that color brown. I want.
Yeah, I mean, like, man, like, I wonder how much one of these tubes costs. I kind of want some mummy
An
brown
arm and a leg?
now, like just for like a display. Like, I didn't even want to use the paint.
You can buy holy water for $20. So,
Dude, you can get holy
I can
water
get
for
holy
free
water
if you go
for
to a church.
free.
You just got to bring the receptacle.
bring your own. Bring your.
I use a flask.
BYOH.
It's always funny.
Did
you guys know
about circus people? Oh, go ahead.
Oh yeah, the fact is I believe it was I'm doing this basically solely on my memory, not looking at shit. Back I don't know, like 10, 15 years ago, I believe it was Baylor University actually went through the process using the original tools, methods, and everything to create a mummy. So they actually bought like an indigent kind of, or they basically, because things for poor people who don't have the money, they can donate their bodies to science, or they're just whatever. So that's what they did. Is they took a donated body or something, and they actually
Science is a loose term. Science is loose. There's a place in Dallas where they test ballistics.
Well, yeah,
and
that still counts.
And car crashes. Yeah, they put your Mima in a car, and they'll see the effects of this new airbag, or if it works, if it don't.
I'm the Bill Hicks fan and says go just put them in a movie. So like you watch like you see bodies get blown up. Hey, that's Grandma. In the new Arnold Schwarzenegger film. But anyway, no, Baylor. I want to say like 10 or 15 years ago, maybe around-ish. They actually went through. They went so far as to craft the tools through the old methods, everything from day one, like creating the tools to embalm with, and using those old methods on creating the tools and so on and so forth, all the way through, and then mixing the correct herbs and all that sort of stuff to create a mummy. And they said it was like really tough because some of the methods of creating some of the tools was really difficult because like it's that whole we're so far ahead of creating that sort of stuff that we trying to go back and trying to figure out how to craft shit in Egypt for the time period to we're even things simple as like the little hook rod and whatnot, or even like the types of knives used was problematic just because like we don't like it's like they had to refigure out how to make those tools by those methods because nowadays we can make it easy.
Yeah, I can just imagine. It's not. We think of old technology as being simple. No, it's not simple. It's just different. The resources, the building material are just different. The methods can be complicated as all could be. But no, I never saw anyone who ever tried to use a wood planer, like a hand wood planer. Go ahead. It's not easy. It's really not.
My shop teacher made us do that.
It sucks.
He made us try to do that, and he was like, "Now we have the big planer, and you can put our stuff through there, but I need y'all to do this first because this is how they used to do it." And I'm like, God, we just have like a cutting board that we made. And it's like slow as hell.
And for your thumb,
and it's
too.
like, hey, you dug too deep. It's not even anymore. Now you got to even it out with the rest of the board.
Yeah, it
was a bitch. Oh, and by the way, I can get Mummy Brown for $10 to $45 depending on the brand, but I can't seem to find like an old school like Mummy Brown tube for sale
An off-brand mummy.
or Mummy Brown tin.
Here's your wish mummy.
Yeah, right. Just kind of like get that, just get a brand new one and display that. Be like Mummy paint. Google it.
You know, that should go into our shop at the haunt. Mummy paint.
Yeah.
I believe that. It somehow always comes back to circus people. There's a gentleman named Patrick O'Brien who passed away in 1806. He was born in 1760. He was 8 feet tall. It was called the Irish Giant. He had the same thing Andre did. He did. So yeah, I got lost. But yeah, Hearst couldn't fit him, obviously, and he was so afraid that his body would be used for science or for circus. He wanted to be buried at sea. But unfortunately, he made this pact with his friends, and unfortunately, he couldn't do that. And I think he was given to someone to do the burial at sea, and that person just took off with his corpse. And they actually have him in a medical school in Ireland. I think it's where he's at right now. I'm not looking at my notes right here, but yeah, he's still his skeleton is still on display, and there's actually a big movement to try to get his remains buried at sea as his wishes still to this day. Yeah, 8 feet tall. Wow.
And just throw them in the water. Let them. Yeah.
It's a complicated process of burial at sea. You can do it yourself. But
hell yeah, I mean, you just go jump in the ocean with a rock tied to your ankle.
I wish it was that simple, but it just isn't. You have to be a certain amount of miles, a certain depth outside from the shore.
No, I'm talking about doing this before I die.
You're doing a final goodbye. There's not so much of a burial at sea. So
well, when I get to the bottom, I'm going to start digging.
I'll put you in a clown barrel like the rodeo, but nail the lid shut. There's a bullet just kick you off the stage and you just roll down the plank.
Make sure it's airtight so I don't drown.
No, you're gonna fill it with like booze. You're gonna fill it with booze. That's how you're gonna get pickled. A pickled clown in the bottom of the ocean.
Just a fucking barrel full of whiskey.
No,
with beers floating in it.
We should leave you at the bottom near a shipwreck, like a ancient like Spanish shipwreck. So they pull you up, thinking you're gonna find the balloons. Nope, pickled clown.
They're gonna go like the Titanic. Like, you're gonna find because they still haven't pulled up everything from the Titanic. They're just gonna find a barrel. What's this barrel? Why does it look different? Clown.
James Cameron could find your corpse pickled in a barrel.
Oh yeah, man. Somebody make a movie about me now. Not about me, but like clown barrels, ocean barrel scabs.
Ocean barrel scabs.
With that crusty lid says, "See you soon, kids."
Well, we're getting close to the end, but one thing we kind of talked about, but not so much. We were going for like ancient Egyptian mummies mostly, some other stuff, but bog bodies or bog mummies.
Mm-hmm.
I love those. They're so fascinating. A bog body is a human cadaver that has been naturally mummified in a peat bog. Such bodies, sometimes known as bog people, are both geographically and chronologically widespread, having been dated between 8000 BCE and the Second World War. The unifying factor of the bog bodies is that they have been found in peat and are partially preserved. However, the actual levels of preservation vary widely, from perfectly preserved to mere skeletons. That's kind of contradictory to the second part, but unlike most ancient human remains, bog bodies often retain their skin and internal organs due to the unusual conditions of the surrounding area. Mm-hmm. Combined together, highly acidic water, low temperature, and a lack of oxygen preserve but severely tan their skin. While the skin is well preserved, the bones are generally not, due to the dissolution of the calcium phosphate of bone by the peat's acidity. The acidic conditions of these bogs allow for the preservation of materials such as skin, hair, nails, wool, and leather, which all contain the protein keratin.
Yeah, that's how
there's a whole lot more about this, but yeah, that's just the basics.
That's how our dinosaur in the beginning, the oldest mummy, was preserved. He was a bog and then fossilized.
Yeah. Well, okay. The oldest known bog body is the skeleton of Kobjerg man from Denmark, who has been dated to 8000 BCE during the Mesolithic period. The oldest fleshed bog body is that of Cashel man, who dates to 2000 BCE during the Bronze Age.
I think I have. I don't know if I have this mummy here, but I think one of the oldest mummies is actually in Nevada. The actually oldest mummy that's actually naturally preserved in this cave that they had a big issue with as far as like whose blood belonged to. Obviously, they think it belongs to natives, but the science community tried saying no, these are Paleo Americans. They crossed the ice bridge, so they're not Native Americans. They did a blood test, Native American. But yeah, the person was found in Nevada, and they've moved him somewhere else, and he is buried, and no one knows of his location except for the tribe. Which is I think is a great thing. But yeah, the oldest mummy I don't have the notes in front of me right now, or is actually in Nevada, a human mummy. This is what my notes. I couldn't tell you the exact. You said Bronze Age.
Yeah.
Skabz? Yeah, I think this predates this Paleo, so it'd be before that.
Mm-hmm.
So.
This was Wikipedia. Who knows?
Yeah,
I'm gonna go change it right now and be like, the oldest living dog body is the game. Fuck you.
Okay, so there's one mummy that I was hesitant to talk about because she's not a mummy, she's a corpse, but it's topical to right now. This happened just a few weeks ago during our break of where the show was supposed to happen, and now we have the cult mummy. Have you heard the story yet?
Cold mummy?
A cult.
Cult mummy.
Oh yeah, dude. The fucking the what is it?
Love
South
Has
American
Won.
cult. The lady, like this happened like just a couple weeks ago.
No, it was Hawaii. It was Hawaii. She stayed for a while. Then she went
Oh,
back to
Hawaii.
America.
That's right. No, I'm thinking of something else. But yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. Like
Amy
she
Carlson
died because she was like a terrible alcoholic and a poor diet and everything. And they were like, we don't know what to do with her. So she died, and then they mummified her, and, like painted her face with glitter and shit. And they got caught because they went to one of the people's houses and they were like, hey, can we stay here for a little while? And they're like, yeah, that's fine. Then they show up with the fucking mummy. And he was like, I don't know if that's cool or not. So they put her, they're like, it's fine. And they made a shrine for her in the back room. And the guy was going to leave and he was going to take his kids and try to go get the cops. And they're like, no, you can leave, but you have to leave your kids here.
Yeah, that's.
And he was like, okay. So he immediately went to the police station. He was like, there's crazy people with a mummy in my house.
Yeah, it's not a mummy. She's just in a sleeping bag. Miss what is her name? Leader of the Love Has Won, or former leader of Love Has Won, Amy Carlson at 45, who was called Mother of God. She had a segment on Dr. Phil, believe it or not, before and after her death. And I don't call someone put in a sleeping bag wrapped in Christmas lights with glitter paint over her recessed eyes that are not there anymore a mummy. It is a corpse, not a mummy. So,
I think it just it's because of the way it decayed. Like it was at that point where it's like right before it's about to fall apart. So
eyes recessed happens for his decomposition. I'll talk about this. By the way, if you're eating now, just put the fork down. Decomposition, like your eyes will recess first, and it's like a deep socket thing. So I think I don't know how long she's been there. I don't know what the rumor was, but they stopped doing a podcast with her for a long time, and it's actually she was about alcoholic and drug user, but she also was taking magnesium. No, I think it was magnesium.
Magnesium silver or silverdine or whatever it was. Yeah, it was some kind of silver. It turned her skin a different color.
Yeah, and that's probably what killed her. She said that was a cure for COVID.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, you know, like it's good for you in small doses, but she's like just chugging bottles of it or covering herself in it or whatever it was.
She has to learn from Alex Jones. Don't get high on your own supply. I feel Alex Jones is saying that shirtless in front of a camera. But yeah, it's not a mummy, but it's popular, it's topical. I had to say something about it.
Yeah, it's super wild. That like literally just happened within the past month.
It's crazy because like you think about like what, because like there's people being charged with abuse of a corpse. What is abuse?
Also, she is apparently like some of the people are saying like she was a pioneer because she had been doing a YouTube like live stream or Facebook live stream as like a podcast for a lot, like, you know, like a lot of people are doing now, but she was doing this like 6 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And like literally like daily or multiple times a day, or, you know, when she got drunk and felt like it, you know, so it's just constant.
There's a lot,
but also that goes with the cult leader mentality of, you know, like Jim Jones had like a microphone in his office that he could, you know, loudspeaker talk to everybody in Jonestown all at once. And
You just had a
Same thing
camera.
with Om Shinrikyo. A lot of other cults just had like, you know, you weren't allowed to listen to music or anything else. Here, this is the leader's voice for you, 24/7. Listen to what they have to say.
I mean, yeah, you don't need a microphone anymore and go out to tents and talk to people. You just need a camera and a computer, and that's it, or a phone even. That's crazy how much her reach she got, and that's insane. Yeah, just Jim Jones with a webcam. That's it.
Yeah.
Jim Jones on Twitch. Think about that.
Oh God.
Put that in your mind's eye.
Jesus, you know, him just like fucking meth the fuck out on Twitch.
That's actually
today. Thank you for the subs. Thank you. I'm married to you now.
No, see, the thing is, like we're actually kind of seeing this already, just to get off topic. But hey, that's what happened. So there's a really good guy who used to be a thing like a president, who got this sort of way for doing this sort of stuff. I mean, dude, fucking 45. That's how it works, man. That's like all that. Like,
I mean, yeah, the Trump
everything.
Is real. There's still people writing Trump 2020. I'm like, guys, it's 2021. Settle down.
Oh no, it's it's. Anyway, yeah, we're just about out of time, man.
We're about out of time. I got one more thing to say. It's really important.
Sure. Yeah. During
the scene when Imhotep is raising the sandstorm in the desert, the camera had to quickly pan up. The wind machine being used kept blowing Arnold Vosloo's cape up, exposing his backside.
Thank you for that.
Mummy.
And with that, we leave you, ladies and gentlemen and gentle thems. Thank you so much for tuning in.
Yeah. Let's get plugs out of the way. Broken, you got anything you want to plug?
I'm gonna plug me as Kriss Broken, Kriss Broken. Just how it sounds out spells. I'll be doing open mics around Houston. I usually do Doran's Pub on Thursday night. Probably won't be going this Thursday, but possibly next Thursday. Just look around and check my Facebook at Kriss Broken at facebook.com, and you'll see what I'm doing next.
Cool.
Thank you.
What about you, Skabz?
I got nothing going on this weekend. I don't think. I'm gonna look at the calendar again, but yeah, probably just a bunch of laziness and hanging out playing video games. Next weekend, though, I got some shows. We'll talk about those next week.
We'll talk about those next week. That's fair, because it's going to be a week from now. Although, so everybody watching this, and just prepare for the first week of June to go see Skabz. He'll tell you where, when, then, or whatever. I don't know. For myself, right here on the Twitch channel, twitch.tv/Carney Show, for people who watch this elsewhere. Today is Tuesday, so we got the fun, the late night fix, which is the movie play right after this, which is called, the movie I'm playing is called Maniac, or originally it was called Sex Maniac, which is one of the original exploitation films from back in 1934. It's crazy and fun and groovy. We'll talk about that when you watch. Then tomorrow we got the Planet Lisdom, who's talking with Stephanie Cadrella, and then I'm gonna have the Devil's Hour, which I'll be showcasing things like a band called Paris, Texas, some stuff from Mysterion the Mind Reader, and Miss Cherry Delight, who I met this past week. It was an amazing kind of shock rocker from New York City. And then on Thursday, I'm talking to Daddy Red, who's a clown sideshow performer from out of Canada. On the G Spot at 8, and then after that, hit random, where I'm going to show you some random shit. And then next week, I keep busy. Next week, Skabz and I will be doing a show here where we're going to be talking about ghosts, but specifically about haunted objects. So it's going to get weird.
All right, thank you for having me, by the way, guys. Appreciate it.
Oh yeah, Broken anytime.
Yeah, man, I mean, we'd love to have you back. You actually do research and stuff, you know, so you're a good offset to the show.
Yeah, you make it look good. So yeah. But so everybody, be safe, be cool, be groovy, and as always, keep drinking.
The prison scene was shot entirely in an apartment complex in Marrakesh. That's fucking sad. Bye, guys.
Yeah.